The Opinion with Michael J. The question today is, should the Conservative Party allow Pierre Poliev to remain as their leader? And it makes you wonder. I recently seen Andrew Scheer. He was on CBC just a day ago. 2 days ago. He was having a tough time. He's normally very confident and well-stated with his deliveries, but first time he's been on the CBC in a long time. David Cochrane was grilling him. David Cochrane was just being David Cochrane, doing what he thinks his job is in a nonpartisan manner. And people from the conservative base find that hard to believe from the CBC because they've chosen not to believe that's a possibility. And it really is as simple as that. So nonetheless, here we are. Let's take a look. This was the last day, the day of the election, April the 28th. Pierre Poliev put this video out. 6 days ago. So Pierre Poliev put this out the day of the election. I voted for you, Pierre. Fingers crossed, we need change. And I've got a real issue with Pierre Poliev. If he had have won, would have dealt with it, Wouldn't leave Canada because Pierre Poliev became Prime Minister. Not like Danielle Smith. Scott Moe's just waiting to see what Danielle Smith's doing, and he's just not sure when he should be speaking up because he obviously can't think for himself either. And that is purely subjective on my part. I just had to throw that dig out there. Because this group of premiers that for some reason don't understand unity and working together in unity across Canada to make sure that no threats exist to our way of living, and that of which is the most important objective at this moment. But now I'm going to circle back to April the 28th, day of the election. Pierre Poliev. I'm going to go full screen. Take it away, Pierre. Take it away, Pierre. Take it away, Pierre.
Now, Liberals would like you to forget about the last lost Liberal decade. Now, Liberals would like you to forget about the last lost Liberal decade. They say, let's just ignore it ever happened. Pretend it wasn't there, even though all the same Liberal MPs, Liberal ministers, Liberal advisors are still running the Liberal show.
So the man is painting a certain picture for you to get into your head. And he's good at it. He is very good at doing that. He does it quite well. So he's painting this picture. He's setting you up.
But I'm here to tell you that that Liberal record is not just about the past. It's about a very dark future if they're reelected. Now,
yikes. It's about a very dark future. Now, what is it with this man? Everything's broke. Everything is broke. Everything he does to get into your head, for you to think he's the savior, is created by his mantras of everything is broke. You've seen how that worked down in the States. The rule of law, democracy, crumbling before your very own eyes. You can choose to look at it as truth, the way it is being portrayed, rule of law. The economy's going in the crapper down there too. You got an oligarchy system in place where you got money, you can manipulate anybody, pretty much. Except for the supreme leader. Can you believe it? Supreme leader. This guy, Donald Trump, has an interview with The Atlantic and states, "I rule the country and I rule the world." And I believe that interview was about April 27th or thereabouts. So, here you are, this guy's setting you up.
Now, don't take my word for it.
Don't take
Look
his
at this
word for
report. This is from the government of Canada. It's got the logo of the government right here. Here, look real close. The media can't deny that it comes from the government. It says Canada.
But here's the deal. Now look at this report, he says. It's how he's spinning this report that I have great issue with. I normally will not state how disingenuous an individual is, but this is almost to the point of criminality, the way Pierre Poliev is presenting this report. It's disingenuous to the highest level. I don't like saying this either, but he's lying to the people, out and out, bald-faced, misrepresenting the facts and what that paper, how that paper was constructed, the intent of that paper, and how it's used to benefit people, but he's twisting it around to say otherwise, as if it's a fact that this is the way it's going to be, which is not a good thing, because maybe his ignorance in applying policy to Canada, to the people, will create that outcome, and this is what you got to be careful of. And everything is a construct of your mind. People here, the people that follow this Pierre Poliev, are not able to use discernment in a way that breaks down the construct of manipulation of their thoughts. Wrap your head around that, kids.
Canada at the bottom, it's got the Canada logo, and the government has confirmed this is a real document. The reason I have to say that is because its findings are so horrific. They predict what Canada will look like on the current trajectory. Now let me turn to page 3, and the section is...
Predictions are forecasts. This is a paper based on foresight, which is to give understanding so that the present government at time can use that understanding to develop policies in the present to mitigate what may happen in the future. Now, if you can't understand that, you really need to do and learn critical thinking. Learn how to think for yourself versus learning what to think.
Actually entitled, and I'm quoting here, "More Snakes Than Ladders." I'm not kidding. That's what they wrote. It's written down right here. In 2040, they predict, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own efforts. However, many worry about sliding down the social order. Now, this is bureaucraties, but I can translate.
Bureaucraties? This is a make-believe word that Pierre Poliev has just created. Holy crap. It just might very well be. Can you believe that, folks? Okay, now I'm going to pivot, because I've heard enough. I consciously disagree with everything this man has stated right now. Furthermore, you're going to have the Conservative Party say, wow, the movement's done better than it ever has. All you've seen is how the country of Canada has been split, totally split, divided, because you've got division for a number of years, just constantly day in, day out, through Pierre Poliev. and also Alberta and Saskatchewan. Furthermore, there is that effect also with LeBlanc, with the Bloc Québécois in Quebec, but at the moment they're trying to restrain their influence, because it is of self-interest for the Bloc Québécois, no doubt, but they're trying their best to create working together in unity. Whereas Alberta, right off the bat, one day after the election results, before the new government has been actually formed properly, is talking succession. They're not working together with Canada. Actually never have since the first premier's meeting. Once you start looking back to what happened, going down to visit Trump, Kevin O'Leary, and Jordan B. Peterson, and I got to tell you something right now. This Peterson, I'm not impressed with, never have been. Kevin O'Leary, not impressed with, never have been. So I want to put my perspective out there so you know where I'm standing and coming from. But we're going to look at some different things here. Okay? So that paper he brought up, paper he brought up, let's go full screen. Full screen. Okay. Yikes, wrong screen. There's the full screen. Okay, so this is what Mr. Poliev was holding in his hands. And it's a foresight brief. Can you believe that? It's a foresight brief. Unbelievable, isn't it? Now, Policy Horizons is a department of the government. No doubt about it. Now, he actually used, or some of the, actually Pierre Poliev actually used it too, but also some of the YouTubers that are conservative, partisan leaning, shouldn't say leaning, they're right in there, they're in the deep end, use the Disruptions on the Horizons 2024 report. And I had that report before they manipulated it in a way it was never meant to be. It's the same thing. It's just a document to be able to understand what might be in order to create policy in the present to make sure that what might be will not be. And that's the easiest and most simplistic way I can put it to you. But secondly, let's look at a different thing from this perspective. Let's go right to the Policy Horizons Canada front page, another page of their, this is the home page. So, it states right here, Policy Horizons Canada uses foresight to help the federal government build stronger policies and programs in the face of an uncertain future. So they're hypotheticals. Mr. Poliev is totally misrepresenting how they're being used. He's using it in a different manner for his own self-interest and to manipulate the general public, which is not in an uplifting, progressive manner. It's a very negative way of doing things, using fear and intimidation. It's bullying and taunting to create an outcome that favors the Conservative Party and Pierre Poliev. Okay, so here you go. Foresight on AI, biodigital convergence, disruptions on the horizon, future lives and uncertainty. But it states here specifically what their position is what their mandate is, what their performance is based upon, what their intentions are. And they are far from the intentions of the way Pierre Poliev is manipulating. It's just to build stronger policies in the present and programs in the present in the face of an uncertain future. And it really is, it's there. You can research this stuff. But here's the other problem. And I'm going to tell you what the other problem is. And I'm going to pull up what the other problem is. Because people do not use discernment, do not do their own research. They get caught up in the brush fire of people, and they get their information from sources that are not reputable, and they believe those sources that are not reputable. And I'm going to give you an example of that right here and now. Right here and now? Yes, right now and here. Okay, so this is CNN. Why am I going to a network in the United States? Forget about your biases. Just watch what's being stated and use what you learn from what is being stated to create your own discernment to apply truth or learn to have truth. Do not keep into the cycle of creating fiction as truth. And I'm going to call it as I see it, because most people within the conservative tent in the secession movement in Alberta are using fiction to create truths. So this is on May the 2nd. Very important you watch this.
You do well.
And here we are in South Carolina with 3 Trump voters. You weren't always a Republican.
No. Actually, I come from a family that was super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone, her name is Candace Owens, and I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
So you voted against Trump in 2016,
Yes.
but then in 2020 you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.
What are some things that he's doing that you do like?
For me, I like the border. I just don't like the idea of someone coming here illegally and getting benefits that can serve my community. So that's the reason why I support him on that border policy.
When you think about the border, you think about people coming here who are getting more help than people who live here and who were born here.
Yeah. And I got that perspective not from news channels. I got it from social media. TikTok is like a holy grail. We even see it with the things that we learn about the United States government. Outside of the United States, people are showing Americans, hey, look at what's going on. Do y'all know that your government is doing this? Have you seen this? Have you looked at it from this perspective?
You know, people, when they think about a Trump voter, they usually think about like a white dude with like a red hat on and a pickup truck, and y'all are not that at all. So Donald Trump's team went in, they took down Harriet Tubman's picture for a quick minute. They're trying to like knock out the black museums. What does that have to do with the price of eggs, and how does that impact you?
In some ways, it's a slap in the face. In other ways, I don't care. I care more about how I'm going to take care of my children.
I don't think the average American cares about that. I know I am sick and tired of seeing black people sit there and complain about something, but not taking action and steps to actually try to change things in an appropriate manner.
under the Trump and Biden administration, they came to certain agreements with police departments to be less brutal toward the black community. Trump has now ended all that. How does that help the black community?
I have a lot of issues with police reform and just with how police officers are treated as a whole. My husband is currently going through the process to become a police officer. The amount of hatred that cops get, even the best ones, I think has become a huge problem because it has been, especially around election times, when it definitely comes out of like, oh no, the cops are bad, the cops hate you because you're black, they're immediately deemed as evil.
This man is talking about running for a third term. Now, what do you think about that?
The third term, for me, absolutely not. I think it's at the end of these 4 years, it's time to move on.
This is a prime example of him trolling people because people have said, they're like, oh, if he gets in the office, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to try to run for a third term. So he's like, okay, y'all think I'm going to do that? I'm going to mess with y'all and say this just to take y'all out.
I thought you loved this man because he's so authentic and he's such a truth teller.
But you need to know the difference between somebody trolling somebody, and this is a prime example of him being a troll.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next.
She said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
And Van Jones joins me now. It's interesting, most of the information that they are getting, or misinformation they may be getting, is coming from online.
Really, 100%. The thing that surprised me the most was how much social media is dictating, especially the younger guy. You know, he said, look, I'm learning all this stuff about America that I didn't know. I'm like, where are you learning from? TikTok. China. Guys, you're a Republican and you're taking the Chinese narrative about your own country to heart. But that was a big part of their whole information ecosystem.
Yeah,
social media.
Does it seem to you that they follow news closely? I mean,
no, that was the other thing too. Is like, you know, one of the women said, "Look, I do not watch any of the media." She says, "You know, I have some influencers I follow. Candace Owens being a big deal, and Newsmax, and that is their information system." And listen, these are hardworking people. They're good people. They care about the country, but they are in a completely different information environment.
And that's the deal, folks. They're in a different information environment. And this is what you need to understand. You've got a lot of people taking an analysis and taking facts and creating an emotional response instead of critical thinking as to what really is. So you got a lot of podcasters, a lot of influencers taking analysis and facts and conflating that into an opinion that suits a certain partisan narrative without justification. So you have to use critical thinking. Like, you know, social media as a de facto standard. Like, come on now. What is wrong with that? Well, do you want to live in a state of fiction or truth? Do you want pain and suffering or compassion and benevolence? You have that ability to make those decisions. But for whatever reason, what do we got here? Canada will deal with the U.S. on its own terms. Right on. Mark Carney. Is he perfect? No. He is not perfect. But He is right for what we need right now. And this here, you've seen conservatives have divided the country. They've gone out of their way with this divisive rhetoric to divide the country. Now, the party itself has got a feel-good moment because they have not done this well at the polls overall since 1988. It doesn't matter by the fact that people are motivated more by fiction than truth, pain and suffering versus benevolence and compassion. That does not dictate the way conservatives think, because they've got this narrow-minded viewpoint of self-interest, and it's about me, me, me. Look at the movie by Walt Disney, made for kids, Nemo. Little fishy. And then you got these seagulls in the harbor. Me, 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 me. Do you want to be me, me, me? Or do you want to be part of Canada? Canada is unique. It's beautiful. But this Alberta situation serves no one. Now, I'm going to go back to here because the point of this is Pierre Poliev. He had a Carleton riding for 20 years. The Conservative Party did the best it ever did. But Pierre Poliev, in his own riding, was rebuked resoundingly, lost by over 4,000 votes. And that's a testament to what I'm trying to purvey to you here now. They didn't buy into his rhetoric. They did not buy into his divisiveness. And right here and now, you see a blatant, bald-faced misrepresentation of fact in order to create division, to create a movement towards his movement, which is very similar to the movement down in Trumpville. Some people say, well, the MAGA movement, I've said the Maple MAGA movement, which is Pierre Poliev, is disingenuous. It's along the fascist way of, authoritarian way of communicating, politicking, and governing. And you really have to ask yourself, is that benevolent? Does that take the country to where it needs to be? Canada is not the USA. It's not the UK, it's not Germany, it's nowhere else, and it's not China. You really have to question how you think, using critical thinking. So I'm going to leave that with you at this juncture. We're going to move on. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Questions, comments, throw in chat. It's interesting to see some of the comments. A lot of the comments I get are just pushback from far-right partisan people. They're really actually brutal in the way they talk to you. But nonetheless, that's the reality. If you want pain and suffering, that's fine, folks. I prefer a compassionate, benevolent society that works in an uplifting manner, that lifts everybody up, doesn't leave anybody behind. You have that choice. So thanks for watching. Love and peace to everybody. Take care. And once again, when anxiety's got a hold of you, don't listen to Pierre Poliev. Take a nap.